There's a moment in Naples' history that has been repeated every year for over 600 years. A vial of coagulated blood, dark, hard, solid like hardened wax, that can melt or not. When it doesn't melt, Naples trembles. In 1527, there was the plague. In 1944, Vesuvius erupted while bombings destroyed the city. The blood hadn't thawed, and over the centuries, Neapolitans have always considered it a sign, dark, solemn, impossible to ignore. On May 8, 2026, Pope Leo XIV entered the Cathedral of Naples. 30,000 faithful awaited him in Piazza del Plebiscito. And inside that cathedral, the ancient blood of San Gennaro liquefied, for the second time in the same week, outside the ordinary sequence of the liturgical calendar. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this miracle says something specific about the history we're living through, and why that answer is more complicated and much more beautiful than the headlines would have you believe. Let's start with the facts. May 8, 2026 marks the first anniversary of the election of Leo XIV. The Pope chose to spend that date not in the Vatican, but between Naples and Pompeii, two places steeped in popular faith, history, Marian and martyr devotion. The blood of San Gennaro follows a precise liturgical calendar. It liquefies on the first Saturday of May, on September 19th, the Martyrs' Feast Day, and on December 16th. On May 2nd, 2026, the usual spring liquefaction had occurred. The blood had solidified again. May 8th, Leo XIV enters the cathedral and receives the ampule containing the blood of the martyr Januarius, a bishop beheaded around the year 300 during the persecution of Diocletian. The Cardinal Archbishop presents the reliquary, and the blood flows again, out of sequence, in the presence of the pontiff. The cardinal announces it from the altar. A prolonged round of applause rises from the nave. 70,000 faithful met Leo XIV during that day between Pompeii and Naples. For many of them, the miracle of San Gennaro was the most significant moment. Let's pause for a moment. Before interpreting anything, we need to precisely reconstruct what happened and what didn't happen during previous papal visits. For centuries, whenever a pope visited Naples, the blood of San Gennaro did not liquefy on that specific occasion. The liquefaction followed its own timetable, independent of any illustrious presence. It was a prodigy with its own autonomous logic, respectful of no agenda. Pope Pius IX visited Naples in 1848. His blood did not thaw. Pope John Paul II arrived in Naples in November 1990 for a 3-day intense pastoral visit. His blood remained solid. No unscheduled miracles occurred. Neapolitan tradition has always been clear on one point. When the blood doesn't melt in someone's presence, it isn't necessarily a judgment on that person. It's a reminder that the miracle belongs to God, not to man, and that its logic eludes any political or institutional interpretation. Pope Benedict XVI visited Naples Cathedral on October 21, 207. It was the year of Summorum Pontificum, the document that freed the Tridentine Mass after decades of limitations. One of the most courageous magisterial acts of his pontificate. Yet the blood did not thaw. The local cardinal communicated this to the faithful with composure. Then Pope Francis arrived. It was March 21, 2015. And for the first time in recorded history, during the visit of a pope, the blood of San Gennaro liquefied. Partially, after a moment of waiting that made the moment even more dramatic. A Catholic magazine wrote, "For the first time under a pope, the blood of San Gennaro is liquefied. Now, 11 years later, the miracle has been repeated, this time completely and fully, during the visit of Leo XIV. 2 popes, 2 liquefactions, and 3 pontiffs without the miracle. The real story begins here. The historical data we've just reviewed raises a question it would be dishonest to ignore. Benedict XVI did not receive the miracle. Francis received the miracle partially. Leo XIII received it fully. But Leo XIV is also the Pope who to date has not amended Traditionis Custodes. He has convened an extraordinary consistory on the liturgical question for June 27th, 48 days from today, which has opened a dialogue with the faithful of the Vitus Ordo without yet translating it into definitive normative acts. I'll say something that very few have the courage to express. The miracle of San Gennaro doesn't function as a referendum on the pontificate. It's not a vote of confidence. It's not a report card issued by heaven. Miracles don't work that way, and Catholic tradition has always known this. But that doesn't exempt anyone from asking, what does it mean? There is a second level to consider. The First Vatican Council, in the Constitution De Filius of 1870, defines miracles as certain signs of divine revelation, adapted to the intelligence of all. Signs, not certifications, not papal investitures. A sign points a direction, but requires discernment. And the very story of San Gennaro confirms this. His blood shed for Bourbon kings, for Spanish viceroys, for Napoleonic emperors, men who would hardly have obtained a certificate of Christian excellence. No one can tell you with absolute certainty what this means for the pontificate of Leo XIV. No one knows the ways of providence with such precision. And anyone who claims to know this, one way or another, should reread the book of Job with more humility. What we know is this: the blood of a 3rd century Christian martyr shed before a 21st century pope. It's a real, documented, verifiable fact. And it is an invitation for the Pope, for the faithful, for all of us, not to waste the time that Providence has placed in our hands. The consistory on the liturgical question is in 48 days. The consecrations of the Society of St. Pius X in Econ are in 52. Pentecost, the feast of the Spirit who guides the Church in truth, is in 14 days. The miracle in Naples doesn't answer the question about the traditional Mass, but it reminds us that those who have the gift of faith also have the responsibility to use it, without fear or naivety. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment Amen. God bless you.